what's going on everybody? I'm Mohit, and as the channel name says, I'm here to turn up the heat on what it means to be an introvert. Listen, I'm putting one of these before every single video because I want you to understand that I'm an introvert. I get my energy from being alone, as most introverts do. That being said, that doesn't mean I don't love people. I love people. I love spending time with people, pushing the boundaries of what us introverts can achieve through those interactions. I'm building this channel as not just a resource, but a network of young, driven, introverted people who know they want to do more in life, who have a greater calling. Stay tuned for the end of this video where I go into a lot more detail on what you can expect from this channel, what I'm all about. Alright everybody, welcome back to another video here on Mohit, the channel where we talk a little bit about professional development, personal development, fucking nerd development, all these types of development where we keep it real on what it takes to build success, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, aspiring businessman in any way, aspiring successful career person in your field. We're very casual, you can probably tell I'm very casual on this channel, so that's what I want this to be. You know, today we're going to talk a little bit about a topic that I tried talking about in March when I was recording a bunch of videos for this channel pre-launch. But unfortunately I ran out of storage space, so I'm recording again. You know, I didn't mean to be in a suit last time. I think I was in shorts and a t-shirt, but I was recording something else right before this in a suit. I'm in a suit now, fuck it, I'm gonna be in this suit. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about fundraising, cold calling, and my experience with it at Purdue University, and how this is a critical type of job that you should be getting when you go to college. All right, so this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna keep it real. I got my little note sheet right here. We're gonna talk a little bit about cold calling for fundraising specifically, not sales cold calling. I'm with AT&T right now. I'm actually in an AT&T housing facility. That video, cold calling for lead generation for actual products and services, will be coming later. B2B sales, that's gonna be coming later. But right now we're talking about fundraising. Once again, I hope this doesn't get too long, but I get pretty into this stuff. I've been with this fundraising center, the Purdue Rally Line, for 3 years now. 3 years I've been with them since I started as a freshman. You know, initially I was just looking for a job. I would have worked anywhere, held the dining courts. I would have worked there, but I heard it's terrible. So like, I'm so fortunate. I found this job. You know, I started there. I was shit. I sucked at calling. That's the reality of it. I was absolute trash. But you know, I've been with them for so long. I've had to put up with the bullshit of alumni and all the stuff that they say for so long that you just naturally become good at it because of sheer experience and the willingness to learn. That's all you need, the willingness to learn, to be able to take feedback. We have this thing called coaching. I'll talk a little bit about this in a second. But we're going to be talking about a bunch of tips and tricks to master the fundraising cold call. You know, whether every university, most universities have a telephone that students can work at. At my university, it's called the Rally Line. Hey, Purdue students, go and sign up. We actually need more employees this upcoming fall semester. But that being said, we as a society need to learn how to cold call, because cold calling, sales, all this is crucial to no matter what field you're going in. You want to be an artist? Great, learn how to cold call. You know, this is important, and that's why, you know, I very much wanted to make a video on this. You know, at my fundraising center, after like fucking 2 years of experience, I finally started making #1 in pledges raised, dollars raised, sorry, well, both of those. #1 on pledges, the amount of pledges, #1 on dollars raised. I've been consistently reaching the top of the leaderboards, and that's because I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for so long that, you know, it's important that I share this feedback to people who either already work for a telefund, who hate it, or who are thinking about it. You know, if this is something that you have on campus that you've been thinking about, you've been receiving all those spam emails that aren't actually spam emails, you've been thinking about it. Well, I highly suggest you do, and here's why. Fundraising is critical, you know, once again, for mastering the cold call, for being able to master communication, not only on the phone, but off it. The biggest thing is that if you can talk on the phone, you can talk in person. Listen, phone calls are apparently one of the hardest things to get over. Phone etiquette is something that you don't learn in school. You're not going to learn this with your parents, most likely, I would assume. If you're, you know, already subscribed to this channel, you're trying to find ways of professionally, personally developing that hasn't already been taught to you by your parents. You know, cold call is critical for building effective communication skills both on the phone and in person, and for helping you build that confidence level to have those conversations. If you go to corporate, if you go to a small business route, no matter what you do, if you open up your own business, you're going to have to communicate with people, man. Like, it's just the reality of it. Listen, I sucked at it for the longest time. I still struggle sometimes. Being an introvert, it's fucking hard. But, you know, over time you get better at it, and that's the reality of what cold calling for 3 years out of this fundraising center has done to me. You know, it's really got me to the point where I can have that conversation. I can carry on that conversation with people who are, no matter what level they're at. I can talk to fucking CEOs and be fine. You know, I'm still a little nervous, don't get me wrong, but I am fine because of the conversations I've had with alumni at a wide variety of spectrums of jobs. So that's why I think that this is critical. You learn so much from it. And hey, if you are trying to start a business, this can really help you a lot. The ability to cold call, to pick up that phone and call somebody you don't know, for the first time, to have that awkward conversation is a skill that's highly demanded in the marketplace. You'll be able to do all that work. You don't have to hire an employee to do it because you're already comfortable with it. You'll save a lot of money that way. You can do market research. You can learn what customers want. That's why the cold call is critical. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on some tips and tricks I picked up at the Purdue rally line that has helped me become an expert cold caller for fundraising. So with that being said, here's the first tip, and this is going to sound cliche, but listen to this because it's true. Practice. Practice makes damn perfect. Listen, you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna fuck up like crazy. You have no idea. Imagine a shy little Indian boy walking into college, decides to start working for this like small fundraising company, fundraising firm on campus. Not firm, but like partnered with Purdue in a sense. They are a separate firm, Ruffalo. But imagine walking in, having your first cold call. I hung up on my first cold call. I'm not gonna lie, I was so scared I couldn't even say one word. So the biggest thing is that, listen, understand it's gonna take time. You're gonna have to practice. Don't get offended. We have this thing called coaching at my job. Be receptive to that feedback. Be receptive to the feedback of someone listening to your call, understanding that they have done it for longer than you. Even if they're not the best, they have done it. They've seen a good cold call, a bad cold call. They can tell you what you're doing wrong. And also, they should be telling you what you're doing right. So take that, learn from it. Don't constantly ignore the feedback that you're getting, thinking that you're like hot shit or that you know what you're doing, because guess what? You don't know what you don't know. So if you get offended by someone on the phone, if someone calls out, say if you have an accent, I've seen that happen. People have called out people with accents. They're great accents. I don't know why people do that, but they just generally hate the nature of your job. They're like, listen, you shouldn't be calling me, fuck off, something like that. There's these little things a lot of people get offended by. Don't get me wrong, I did too, but you gotta learn to come back from it. Understand, you'll never talk to these people again. You'll never see these people. Most likely, I've been there for 3 years. I can't even remember if I talked to somebody again, because you call so many prospects. That's the name for the people that you're calling. You call so many of these alumni every single day that you can't keep track of them. It doesn't matter what they think about you, so stop caring about that. Focus on reaching that number one on that leaderboard for dollars raised. So now let's get into the cold call itself. Tip number 2, always introduce yourself. This is critical. And I'm a supervisor at my job now, so I'm able to listen to these calls and see what people are doing wrong. Before, I would still listen, but it's a one-sided conversation. I can only hear what's going on from the employee next to me, from my fellow coworker. But, being able to actually listen to both sides of the call. Now, it's really interesting. A lot of people are so nervous, which, happens, but they don't introduce themselves. This is something I didn't do when I first started out, because I think if I get a call, it's critical that somebody tells me who the fuck they are from the beginning, because ultimately you want to know who's calling you. So when you introduce somebody, okay, it's fine, be nervous, but then use that small period of nervousness to say something you already know how to say, which is who you are, where you're from. Just as simple as, hey, I'm Mohit from Purdue University. I'm just reaching out to you, talk to you a little bit about so. So just understand that you gotta be able to introduce yourself. This is a critical thing that a lot of people forget on calls, and it's something that's so simple. It's so simple, but yet complicated in the sense that a lot of people don't do it, so I have to say it. Establish that connection. Even if the person is available, you get in touch with the wife, the husband, the spouse, kids, whatever, you still want to establish, hey, okay, I'm sorry they aren't available. I'm reaching out for Purdue. Can you tell them this? And then leave your message, whatever you wanted to say. So, okay, the next important thing I want to talk about, the next tip is to be personal. Have a conversation with prospects. Now, at most telephone centers, you are required to have rapport with prospects, so don't waste that. Don't awkwardly ask questions to the prospect. Ask them, hey, how's your day? Or how's the weather over there? Those are irrelevant. Ask them, okay, how's your experience with Purdue in the past? What did you major in? How did that help you? Build off of things that they say. So don't just ignore what they say and default to a list of questions you have. I know it's easy to do that. Believe me, I've been there. I've been nervous as hell. I'm still nervous as hell. Picking up the phone after maybe 3 days of not calling, it gets me incredibly, incredibly nervous. But your job is to move past that nervousness. Understand that this is more of a conversation than you asking for money. If you get the conversation right, you will most likely get the money. So with that in mind, money will follow that good rapport, that good conversation. If you're updating information that you're required to update, great, have a conversation in between. Be like, oh, I used to live there. I know somebody that lived there. Don't make things up, but try to pull on some resources in your life, in your past, where you can have that conversation, once again. So additional things that, when you start out, you're probably going to want to adhere to the script, and that's fine. Believe me, I couldn't stop using the script for maybe months and months and months. It took me a lot longer to get it than most people. I'm still at the core very timid, shy individual. But at the end of the day, you got to move away from that script. You got to, again, have a conversation. Once you start treating it as a conversation, all the other things will come naturally. Once you understand how to do the job, all those will you just have to transfer over to, okay, how can I start having a conversation while getting in all the updating information, the report questions, and finally my asks. One additional thing I wanted to bring up is just take control of the call. Take control. This is your call. You're the one calling him or her, whatever. You're calling that person. So you should be the one to initiate conversation, to ask questions. If they're not receptive, great. Okay, they're not receptive. Now what are you gonna do? You need to figure this out. And of course, this is going to take practice, it's going to take experience. This all goes back to practice. You're not going to learn all this in one day. Watching this video will help tremendously, but you're also not going to learn in one day. You're going to have to do it to physically understand. I'm doing actual B2B sales now, which is a huge step up, and it's very different, and I'm struggling a lot, but I understand the bit of hard work and a huge learning curve that I'm willing to allow myself to learn with. I'll get better. Same thing for fundraising. I started out like shit, I got better. So once again, project that confidence. If the more that you're able to take control of the call, show the prospect that, hey, you know, I know what I'm doing. I am a Purdue student. This is why I'm calling. I'm asking for money. But also to have that conversation to build strong rapport and to finally acquire that skill really projects a sense of confidence. I know somebody called me, they were really nervous. If they're calling from the fundraising center, I'll probably give just because I know they exist. But if you're calling from something, an organization, don't really know too much about, or I just don't believe you because you're constantly stuttering or not saying something right or just missing total pieces of information that I should know as somebody that's being cold called, I will not give you money. And therefore, it's important, once again, to establish that trust, and you do that by taking control of the call, building confidence, and showing who you're calling that you can be a trusted individual to give money to over the phone. So, and here's the final tip. The final tip. This is a big one because this is something huge. We've gone through updating information, you know, introducing yourself, doing your report, getting through the whole call. Now you're at ask. Hate the ask. You know, a lot of people hate this. I still hate this. It's very awkward. You know, and I get it, people won't always have money. You can't control whether someone gives or not, but you can highly suggest options for them to still be able to feel good about themselves and give back and help the university as a whole. You know, I totally support what we're doing as a university. I think that the more people we get to give back, the lower our tuition costs get. You know, because of giving, we've had a tuition freeze at Purdue, which I'm very thankful for once again, because tuition and high tuition is a ridiculous idea. But that's a whole nother story. You know, the biggest thing is that you gotta do your asks. You know, if you're assigned 3 or 4 of them, you know, some places make you do like 4, 5, 6 asks. You know, my university makes us do 3. Do all your asks. Not only will you get fired if you don't do your asks, but you also are losing out on potential. Like, you never know when someone may say yes on the 3rd ask. And as someone that's been with the Purdue Rally Line for 3 years, they've said yes. Always do them, because you never know when you can turn a conversation around. Don't make it awkward. It's going to take experience. You're really going to have to figure out how best you can approach it. You know, that being said, if you have strong rapport, you're probably going to be able to throw it in there, and you still have rapport in between asks, so you're still able to build that connection even after they say no once or twice, and you may even get it on that 2nd ask, 3rd ask. And never apologize. You know, I hear so many people do this. I used to do it a ton till at some point when I was coached, somebody said don't apologize, and it finally clicked with me. You know, when you're apologizing, you're projecting a sense of the fact that you don't know what's going on, you don't know why they should be giving, you don't support the idea that they should be giving, so why should they give? So therefore, you don't want to apologize, you don't want to convey the fact that you disagree with what you're doing. If you do disagree, then quit. Don't stay at the fundraising center, man. Like, if you strongly believe that Purdue or your college, whatever the college is, deserves to the core that donation money, then your job is to convince them to do so, and never apologize for it. You know, tell them, sure, you know, you can be persistent, but it's because you're a very strong proponent of what you do, and you very much you're very much enthusiastic about the university that you're a part of. So always be firm about the ask amount. You know, a lot of people will just like say it really fast, like, would you want to give $200? Okay, that's fine. If you don't, be like, I understand. Would you like to do $200 today? Stop right there. Don't say anything. You know, I have a habit still to this day of saying, or giving them the option not to. Don't give them the option not to. If they don't want to, they will hang up or tell you. If they hang up, they're a douchebag, but they'll tell you. If they don't want to give back, they will tell you that. And therefore, you know, the biggest thing is you got to be willing to get those questions out there, to do those asks without feeling bad about it, Don't doubt them, and just be strong and firm about how you're saying them. Say them very clearly so they know how much you're asking for and why they should give. You should have a strong reason behind every ask. Assuming you've built strong rapport at this point, never treat your asks as something you just have to get out of the way. Be firm about it and tailor those to the prospect. You want to be able to tailor your ask levels, or not your ask levels, those are kind of required, but the ask reasons to prospect. You hear something about, oh, they love Purdue basketball or something like that. Okay, great. Would you like to give to the John Purdue Club, which is their sports tickets thing or whatever. So, tailor what you're asking them to give to, unless you're required to ask for a certain thing, to the prospect. And even if you are required to ask for, say, a scholarship fund or something like that, okay, how can these scholarships affect what the alumni is very passionate about? So you want to look for those, I call them pain points, but they're not really causing pain. So you want to look for those points in all this rapport that you can build off of, that you can use to your advantage, that you can get money from. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter what we support on campus. It's free money. It can go to whatever the alumni wants. And you want to communicate that with every single one of your asks. Okay. Now, I know I said that was the last thing, but there's one last thing that I completely forgot about. I'm going to throw it in here. This is why having a good old note sheet is very, very handy. Be receptive to feedback. I brought this up a little earlier, but once again, you might have coaching, you might have people listening to your calls, or just somebody next to you. If they tell you your call is shit, it's probably shit. Once again, when I started out, I sucked at fundraising, I sucked at cold calling. It was a huge, huge, huge drawback. And therefore, once again, you gotta be receptive to feedback. Okay, first off, assess the other person's credibility. They're most likely credible if they've made it to the point of supervisor, but understand they've done it. They've had those good conversations, those bad conversations. They know what you should be saying. Be receptive. You can always have flexibility later. You can tailor things to how you normally talk, but that's not going to happen if you're not being receptive of that feedback in the first place. If you're continuously doing what doesn't work. I'm not naming names. We had this girl at my job that she would say the same thing every call. I even talked to her once, and she was straight up like this. I am not changing what I'm saying, and I don't care if they give or not. Great. Well, that's going to be affected in your stats at the end, and then we'll fire you. The biggest thing, not to be blunt, is that you got to do your job, and to do that effectively, you got to be continuously improving. A lot of people will go, I've seen a lot of people quit because the job's too hard. I will tell you one thing, anybody can cold call, especially at a fundraising center. Anybody can do this, and anybody can do this, because I know, because I did it. I don't know how. I'm standing here making a cold calling video. I don't know how I've gotten so good at this. And it's because of experience. Experience is key. Experience, the ability to fail and then learn from those failures, not to reenact the same failures over time. So with that being said, be open-minded, understand if you're doing something wrong. Understand that this is a job. You can learn so much from this that is so valuable. A lot of people pass this up. They'll go work for a dining court, Wendy's, McDonald's, anything food related, just because it's mindless. You don't have to think about it. Easy, apparently, although I have high respect for fast food, manual labor. I think this stuff is hard. And honestly, you're killing yourself there. You're not picking up, besides maybe people skills, you could probably pick up better people skills at a fundraising center. You can pick up the ability to not only talk with a wide variety of professionals and just people in general. You learn so much about so much about the country, because you're calling people across the U.S. And you can also be able to develop your ability to take constructive criticism, which is key. It's critical to being able to succeed in any career. So once again, we're gonna wrap this up here. These were the top couple tips. I don't know how many tips those were. I'll put it on screen here, however many tips I escape. These were the tips that I would highly, highly recommend you focus on if you are thinking about or are currently in a fundraising cold calling center job. And for those of you who aren't even considering it, consider it, guys. Come on. You guys are capable of so much. Don't doubt yourselves. Don't limit yourself to doing just another odd labor job, another manual labor job, just something on the side to make a little bit of money. Take whatever you're doing for a little bit of money, take that as a learning experience. Learn from whatever you're putting your precious time to. A fundraising center is a great idea to be able to apply all of that. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything else I can do to help, if you want me to listen in on a couple call examples, if you want to contact me, once again, social media, that's the key. But thank you guys so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with whatever cold call you're about to make right now, tomorrow. Everybody needs to cold call, and I strongly believe that this is a learned skill. You can do it. This video will help you do that. All right, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. You know, once again, this is just a small snippet of what to be expecting from me and this channel. You know, we're all just a bunch of introverted nerds just trying to find success and leave our footprint in the same way as our extroverted counterparts. You know, whether that looks like starting a business or just finding the right job. This channel is going to focus on providing a ton of professional and personal development contents for all of my fellow peers out there, people who are going to be the future leaders of the world. Let me just say that I'd love to have a conversation with each and every single one of you. So go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Share your success stories, your dreams, your goals. Let's talk about all of that. You know, this is what really pushes people forward. This is going to help build a community. At the end of the day, I can only share what my experiences have been thus far, but you guys have so many different experiences outside of that. I'm constantly learning and growing every single day, so I'll always have tons of ever-changing content on this channel to put out there. With all of that being said, thank you guys so much for all support that's been shown so far. As all of us introverts recognize, you know, a little support can really take people a long way, and that's what I really hope to be sending around as we work together to build this community. So with that, go ahead and subscribe, like, dislike even, follow, comment, and share around with your friends and family. Let's all work together to assemble the future leaders of tomorrow and get this movement going.